Hello everyone, and welcome to my Hardcore S Plus guide for the Resident Evil 2 remake. This is going to be on the Leon A scenario, mainly because I feel like it's the easier scenario to get an S Plus on, and and in my opinion, you get the better reward for it. So for those who don't know what S Plus is or how to get it, you have to beat the game in under 2.5 hours using a maximum of 3 saves or less, and you can't use any of the infinite guns, but I'll touch on that in a second. So the gas station here is a very straightforward kind of section, but what you want to do when you get up to this door here is as soon as you skip the cutscene, you want to immediately run past the zombie and head towards the key. After you do that, turn around, start walking back, wait for the zombie to go in the corner like that, and then you're home free. Now, since the streets of Raccoon City leading up to RPD are pretty straightforward, I'm not going to talk over those. I'm going to be chiming in and out on commentary with this video, mainly because I just don't feel like talking over the whole thing. Plus there's a couple of sections like the one coming up where I fast forward where there's just not a whole lot going on and there wouldn't be much to say, and I'd just rather not fill the gaps with nothing, pretty much. This section, like I said, is pretty straightforward. You essentially just want to make wide arcs around all the zombies, not much to it. Now that we're back in the RPD, we're going to be going through the east hallway. Now in this area, you want to be grabbing the handgun bullets out of this room, and we're also going to be getting the first aid spray out of the bathroom. So if you came here for a speedrun guide, this is definitely not the most optimal route, but it will help you get through the game more safely, and help increase your chances of managing things like ammo, health, and stuff like that. Ultimately, the goal here is to survive through the game, not necessarily break any records. And if you know your way around the game, then the time limit is not going to be a huge factor for you. The hardest part about S Plus is surviving. So as soon as that zombie busts the door in, you want to immediately run through him. He's still stuck in an animation, so he won't be able to turn around and grab you. And we're going to slow things down here just to show you how you want to run through those zombies. You want to hug the locker and immediately go around the turn, and you're essentially going to do kind of like some basketball style crossovers and stuff to get around and behind those zombies. If you do it like that, I would say that works about 9 times out of 10. Sometimes they will grab you, they won't care about your juking skills. And here you want to put away the 2 first aid sprays and grab the infinite knife, which I highly recommend you get before attempting this. Even though you can't use the infinite guns, you can use the infinite knife, and it is definitely going to be the MVP for the first part of this playthrough. So this hallway is pretty straightforward, so we're going to fast forward a little bit. But what I was saying about those zombies in the east hallway is sometimes they will grab you, they won't care. But if that happens, you do have a first aid spray, or if you want to hang on to it, you can just simply reset. You'll only be losing about 3 minutes of progress, so it's not a huge deal. Now that we're over here in the west hallway, we're going to equip the infinite knife, and you're about to see some precision aim on display here. Just wait for it. Look at that. Look at that. I certainly hope when you play through this, your aim is a lot better than mine, because I get really sloppy in a couple spots. But basically the trick for dealing with a lot of these early zombies is you want to take off a leg and then just start slashing them to death. This guy, I'm not going to waste any bullets, I'm just going to be hitting his legs. And the reason I reposition myself here is, I don't know if it's a thing or not, but I'm essentially trying to hit as many hitboxes on the zombie as possible. Like there, I'm trying to hit his head, his torso, his arm, and I'm giving him the good old quintuple tap just to make absolutely sure he's dead. Because sometimes these zombies in this game will play possum for such a long time, and then just when you think it's safe, they get you. So we're just going to go open this safe, nothing too fancy. We're going to grab these hip pouches. This is the only extra inventory space we're going to be getting. The reason why I'm not going to bother with the other ones is simply because I feel like they're really far out of the way. And considering you have to deal with Mr. X to get one, and you have to worry about running through a bunch of extra zombies to get the other, I just don't really see them as worth it. Generally on hardcore, especially when you're not using overpowered weapons, you want to deal with zombies as little as possible. So we're going to hit the first save room, but we're not going to be saving yet. You just want to grab the board, the herbs, and the ink ribbon, and then we're immediately going to be putting away the herb mixture, the gunpowder, and the ink ribbon. The reason we're going to hang on to the green herb is because there's a red herb right up these stairs. And we want to board up this window because that zombie will come in once we come up here and grab the spade key, and we don't want to deal with that. Because we do have to come through this hallway one more time. And again, just more precision, professional marksmanship aim on display here. So the reason why I'm getting the a lot of herbs that seems like I'm going out of my way to get them is these are areas I don't plan on visiting too often. And oh yeah, I've run back here because I forgot if I grabbed those bullets or not. But essentially, if there's an area that you're only going to go through once or twice, it's beneficial to get as many resources from that area as possible. Because if you don't grab healing out of a room you only plan on going through once, then essentially you're leaving behind a free heal or free ammo. And on hardcore, both of those things are welcome. Also, don't mind the little shuffle I was doing back there. I thought I was doing a speed run for a second, and I just kind of forgot which way I needed to go. Also, please pardon any yawning. I woke up not too long before doing this video. So now that we're here in the library, we're going to be employing the same tactic of shooting off legs and slashing zombies. So not too much to say here. Couple things to note is that we're not going to be grabbing the book because I'm actually going to be skipping the Magnum. The reason for that is because you can't get the box that you have to combine the jewel with until after you've already activated Mr. X, and that could cause him to follow you into a narrow hallway, which is never a place you want to be when you're trying to deal with him. In addition, I just don't really feel like it's worth it. As you'll see, we're going to end up having more than enough shotgun shells, and considering you really don't even need weapons for Leon's final boss, we just overall don't really need the Magnum. And again, just trying to quintuple tap this zombie just to make absolutely sure he's dead. Now, some things you can consider doing is you can consider go ahead and going into the side room to grab the unicorn medal. We're going to be looping back around anyway, so it's really a matter of preference, but you can go grab that. And I also recommend moving the shelves right now. That way when you come back through later, you only have to move 2 shelves one time, and you don't have to worry about Mr. X coming up behind you and punching you. So we're going to go ahead and grab the lion medal just to have it, and we can get it out of our inventory, and we don't have to worry about saving space for it later. So now I'm essentially just going to run around, do some quick inventory management, and not much else. So this next section is going to be fast forwarded after I hit this item box. Basically we're putting away everything except the handgun, ammo, and the key, because that's all we need for this next area. So I'm going to fast forward a little bit. Alright, now that we're in this room, we're gonna grab the herb and the Matilda part, just because the only Matilda part we're not going to be getting is the stock. The reason for that is we don't really need the 3-round burst, and the stock causes it to take up extra inventory space, which when you're only working with 10 slots, you need all the space you can afford. So we're going to drop the key, grab the weapons locker key card, and in this next section we're going to be grabbing the bolt cutters, some gunpowders, the crank, the fuse, and a flash grenade. So I like to make sure I have enough space in my inventory for everything I need to pick up.
I'm surrounded by zombies.
And since this is a section where I'm confident that I'm not going to take damage or whatever, that's why I dumped all my sub-weapons, my healing, everything like that. Now when you go through this door here, you do need to be careful because sometimes that first cop zombie that busts through that door will be waiting for you around the corner. It seems like if you kind of speed run and rush around to this area, he's more likely to show up. But if you take your time and kill stuff, it seems like he just, I don't know, it seems like he just kind of goes off somewhere. So we're going to combine these gunpowders to go ahead and get some shotgun shells because we're going to be grabbing the shotgun soon. And here is where I ran into a bit of a problem. I was not expecting this zombie to be right around the desk in front of that door. And I was also not prepared for him to stagger every time he did. This creates a problem for me because now I've got zombies busting in the door. So I stagger that guy to get him out of my way, and this dude grabs me. Normally that is not what happens. Normally you grab the fuse, maybe pop the one guy in the leg, and then you're out the door and on your way. Unfortunately that did not happen here. So, normally I would not want to waste that flash there, but I also don't want to take damage, and being down a flash grenade isn't really going to hinder me too much. Now in this hallway, we're going to go for some leg stuns. We get lucky with the one shot. There's one more zombie we got to worry about. This fat boy right here, fortunately we get lucky again. Sometimes that is not what happens. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 shots. You just kind of have to be prepared and react to whatever outcome you get. Now I'm grabbing that herb there even though it does kind of clog up my inventory. But I'm grabbing that just because that's the only time I'm going to be going through that room, so why not, you know, why pass up a free heal? I'm going to get these handgun bullets because even though I don't necessarily need them, But I'm going to be grabbing those handgun bullets because, again, only time I'm going to be coming through this room, so may as well get all the resources I can. Now we got the shotgun, so we're going to go ahead and load that up. And now we're going to be making our way to the STAR's office. That's why you want to put those boards up, because otherwise that's an extra zombie you would have to be worrying about. And here we're going to let this zombie fall over the railing there, just so that way we can have her out of the way, don't have to worry about her grabbing us. If you're confident, you can run by her, but it doesn't take too long to wait for her to fall over the rail, so may as well be safe. Now, there is a gunpowder in one of these lockers in this room. The footage skips here, I'm not sure why. But just be aware I grabbed the gunpowder out of that locker. And now we come up across our first licker. But we're not going to deal with him. We're just going to dip into the STAR's office, and we're going to pick up as many supplies as possible. Talking shotgun shells, this flashbang, healing stuff. And I run over there because there's handgun bullets in Scenario B that I always forget about, so I was just curious if that was a thing or not. And since I have enough inventory space to grab the remaining 2 medallions, I'm not too worried about it. So we're simply going to go in this hallway and we're going to walk around this licker because we don't want to fight him. See, one of the main differences between the two characters is, since Leon has a shotgun, he's pretty good at dealing with almost everything in the game, except for lickers. Claire, on the other hand, struggles a little bit with killing things as efficiently as Leon can, but if there is one enemy type she is really good at killing, it is lickers. And I guess technically the plant guys too. But we'll talk more about Claire's tools and Claire's arsenal when I do a guide for her. Yes, I am going to be doing a guide for both characters. So we're gonna slap on the detonator and then we're gonna run through this door here. Wait for it to close and then walk back through, wait for the explosion to settle, and then head towards the medallion. If you do it that way, you don't have to worry about the bookcase falling over, which is really something you don't want to deal with when you have an angry licker in the same room as you. So make sure you got your flashbangs on and wait for him. Chuck it and run. You don't want to try to fight that licker or outrun him, because on hardcore mode it seems like lickers just sort of teleport into your ass. And yeah, you don't want to deal with that. So for anyone who's curious why I keep pulling up my gun on stairs and stuff like that, I believe the technique is called Stair Skating, and essentially what you do is you pull up your gun when you notice your character starts kind of trotting down the stairs instead of their usual run animation, and it just sort of resets your running animation. It's one of those things that probably saves milliseconds across your run, so nothing too major, but, you know, hey, it helps you go just a little bit faster. So here I'm going to pull out 2 knives, and I want to have 2 full heals and 1 free inventory space. Even though it does not work as well on console, which for anyone who was wondering, this run is done on PS4. So even though the knifing strategy for Birkin is not as effective on console, it's still probably the best strategy, especially on hardcore. We're just going to have to make use of a couple of extra tools in order to get the most mileage. So I'm going to equip my regular knife, mainly because I don't want to stab him with my infinite knife. You do get all your knives back after the fight as long as they don't break, but I don't know. I just like having my infinite knife because I'm always paranoid that if I lose it, then my regular knife will just break during the course of the fight. So you're gonna go up and immediately start slashing at him. Your goal at this part of the fight is to hit him enough to where he does that, where the eyeball starts coming out. You don't want him to rev up and attack. Then you're gonna chuck a grenade. This will stagger him and do a little bit of damage, and let you get some free knives. And since we didn't get him to stagger back, because we haven't done enough damage, we're going to run over to this corner and we're going to grab the other grenade. Now this fight does get a little wonky because I lose track of William twice, I think. So we're just going to have to run around, wait for him to show up and do the little like cutscene attack thing or whatever. There he is. So as soon as you break free of his grab, you want to back up because he does follow that up with a big pipe swing. So chuck the grenade and immediately go up and start slashing him again. So I'm going to chuck a flash here. I get lucky that I hit him with that before he grabs me. So again, same old thing, we get the stagger on him. So far, this fight is actually going really well. So I use my knife to get out of this grab. That's usually something you don't want to happen. So even though I don't want to use a whole lot of ammo, I am going to unload on the eye since it's exposed. And I think here I just kind of forgot that I had my infinite knife, or I was too afraid to use it or something. But I figure around this point, since I saw the eyeball on his shoulder was red, he's almost dead. So I just switched to the handgun and I figured, you know, maybe 1 or 2 pot shots will finish him off. Plus there's plenty of handgun ammo around the arena, so if I have to use a couple of shots, it's not that big a deal. But yeah, in case you didn't know, you can tell sort of where William's health is at by what color his eyeballs are. If they're kind of like the palish orange, that's sort of full health. If they become like a darker kind of orange, that's damage. And when they're close to red, that's how you know he's almost dead. So we're just going to fast forward through here, pick up these last couple of items because free resources. Go up into this side room, gonna mix these herbs. I don't normally like mixing green herbs together, but I just want to have as many healing options as possible. So I'm gonna chime out for a second until I go across the bridge, and I'll walk you through the inventory management. So here at this item box, we're going to put away healing because we're going to pick up a full heal in the next area. And we're going to put away the knife because we don't need it. What you dump there doesn't make too much of a difference. I did keep the gunpowder I picked up out of that locker because there is some high gunpowder in this area. So we're going to get some free shotgun shells. And again, not a whole lot going on here, so I'll meet you at the kennel. Alright, so you want this high gunpowder here. Go ahead and mix your shotgun shells together. That way, you know, you have as much space as possible. Now, even though Leon does not need the diamond key, we are going to head to the morgue because there are some handy items over here. First thing we're going to get is this red herb. And then we're going to go over here and grab this flashbang. And that's all the items we need out of this room. This next room, there's an herb tucked away over here in the corner. We're going to go ahead and combine that. It's nice to have a full heal because the dogs are really, really annoying on hardcore mode. Make sure you don't forget about grabbing the boxed part. And we're going to go up here and solve a very difficult puzzle. God damn. Just the 2 switches all the way to the right, no big deal. And I think right here, I thought I could outrun the dog, but he turned that corner a lot faster than I expected. This is why you want to have that full heal, because on assisted and standard, the dogs they aren't too bad, but just like the lickers, the dogs seem to have a beacon in their AI that just immediately teleports them into your asshole. So I shoot that one dog, but I still get hit by the other one. So we're immediately going to heal because it's very likely that I'm going to get hit. Yep, right there. And you have to be really careful with the dogs, especially on hardcore, because sometimes they can just straight stun lock you to death. Because sometimes one will hit you, and then while you're stunned, you will just get the grabbing bite attack by another one, and then you're basically dead on hardcore. So I really would have liked to mix that blue herb with my green and red mixture, but you know, what can you do? You'll notice I left some handgun bullets behind. If you have 60 handgun bullets, you really don't need any more. So in this item box, we're going to employ some big boy strats now, which is only running around with one gun. We're going to put away the part, the handgun, the bullets for it, and pretty much anything we don't need throughout RPD. I'm keeping the flash grenade just for safety, and I'm hanging on to that high gunpowder because in my head I've already planned out everything I need to pick up, and I have space for that, and there's a large gunpowder that we'll be getting soon, which means a lot of extra shotgun shells. So here, I really didn't want to waste that flashbang there, but my aim sucks. As I said, I really hope your aim is better than mine when you're playing through. Fortunately, I do get lucky with these headshots. So we're going to use the fuse here. I'm going to attempt to blow this guy's head off. Didn't really work for me, but we got it there. And we're just going to check Elliot with a shot just so he doesn't try anything funny. That's a little bit more ammo than I would have wanted to use there, but having 4 loaded and 13 extra shells, not too big of a deal. And we're going to grab that herb there just to help us get back to fine. At least I think that's what I'm going to do. Maybe I'm saving it for something else. I'm not 100% sure what my thought process is right now. If it wasn't already obvious, this is a post-commentary, because I guarantee if I had tried to do this live, I probably would have died several times and had to restart, and yeah, I don't have time for that. I'm sorry. So in this room, we're going to get these shotgun shells, try to get better with our running, that way we don't get grabbed, because that would really suck. We're going to pick up this blue herb. And I guess my thought process here was I was going to combine that green herb and that blue herb with this red one over here that's in that hallway. So for this part, excuse me. So for this part, just simply go for your headshots. I got pretty lucky there. Sometimes it doesn't always work out that smoothly, but we got it. No big deal. Run down here, grab the club key, and I'm gonna put away that combat knife because it is going to be, that is an extra slot I'm going to need later. And if you'll notice, I forgot to hit the switch. Make sure you don't forget to do that. So I'm gonna mix up 2 greens and use those to top off. And yeah, this is where I get to the top of the stairs and I'm like, oh shit, I forgot to hit the thing. Right about... Oh wow, I have to run all the way to the switch to realize that. Or maybe... Or am I just crazy? Did I hit the switch and just forget that I did that? Oh, I must have. Well, that's a crazy talk moment for my S Plus guide. Let's talk about Mr. X. Mr. Big Boy DMX himself. So we're gonna lure him outside where we have some more space to juke him and run past him. We're going to be taking the stairs down by the down by this section here. Excuse me. We're going to be taking these stairs and we're going to be going through the east hallway. I think it's slightly faster and yeah, it's just kind of slightly faster. So now going to this west hallway where we have to use the club key, there's a liquor that is now spawned. So we're gonna cheat the game a little bit. If you aggro the liquor and then immediately run back through that door, for whatever reason, the liquor despawns. Why or how that works, I don't know, but I cannot deny that it is really, really handy. Because in this hallway, we're gonna have to deal with a zombie and Mr. X. And frankly, I don't want to deal with Mr. X, a zombie, and a liquor. That just sounds awful. That kind of stuff can stay in 4th Survivor where it belongs. So I'm waiting here because I know that Mr. X is eventually going to be trying to come through that door. Unfortunately, he decided to take his sweet time this run, so I had to use a shotgun shell just to keep that zombie off me. But there's the big boy, so that's our cue to leave. Simply just run around the opposite side of the shelf and you'll be fine. So now we're going to head up to the library to use the tool. I think I have a flashbang or something equipped just in case Mr. X comes up here and he decides to try to hit me while I'm moving these bookshelves. This is the part where having them already set up can save you a little bit of time and some headache. Unfortunately, I did not do that. So I'm going to tilt my camera this way just so I can see Mr. X if he comes in. And in case you didn't know, you can move 3 bookshelves at a time, because your characters are really, really strong. And I tilted over to look at that walkway just to make sure the zombie from the room where we used the C4 didn't come into the library, because it doesn't happen often, but sometimes he will come into that room and he can cause you a headache depending on where he is. And you're not ready for it. So I'm gonna chime out here. Not much to say about the Clocktower Puzzle. You know how to do this, right? So I'll meet you after this is done.
Hope I don't have to write a report on this.
So before leaving the clock tower, we're gonna go in this back hallway here, and we're going to grab this large gunpowder. Large gunpowder. Doing so gives us 5 extra shells, which is really handy, and it essentially replaces all the ones we had to use. So leaving this room can sometimes get a little tricky on hardcore. And make sure you don't forget that part, because I was doing a practice run for the Claire S Plus guide last night, and I got all the way back to the chief's office and forgot to grab that. So normally you would want to go back through the library, fall through the floor, go down the main hall, and back through the east hallway to get where you need to go. Unfortunately, Mr. X was in my way. So I'm just gonna check these zombies with some shotguns. My goal isn't to kill them, I just need them out of my way. So this way takes a little bit longer, not quite as efficient, but it's fine. As long as we don't get punched, we're happy. So all I'm doing is running back to the save room at the end of this hall, so I'll chime back in there. All we're really doing here is we want to grab the other part, obviously, because it would suck to have to run through those dogs twice, and we're essentially going to get 2 first aid sprays. I would recommend using, for the most part, I would recommend using either your regular first aid sprays or something like a triple green mix. Now that blue herbs are introduced, we want to save our green and reds for when we can mix them with blues, because not only do you get a full heal, but you also get a nice little defense buff. So those are really handy, especially later on in the game. It's also important to note that it is very beneficial to have at least 1 flash grenade or 1 hand grenade. Fortunately, I have, I believe, 1 of each. I can't really see the numbers on the screen from here, but yeah, it looks like 1 of each. That flashbang is going to be really handy for escaping this jail sequence. And the reason why I'm taking my time here is because I'm trying to do this in the optimal number of moves. So for those of you who are trying to get the, I believe it's called the circuit breaker thing or something like that, that's how you do that puzzle. Now please make sure you mash X when that card shows up, because I have had one time where I hit circle and I had to run back through all these zombies, and by that point Ben had turned into a zombie and it sucked.
Give me a break.
So here I tried to just backstep to juke Mr. X. Unfortunately his punch seemed to get a little extra range, but I got lucky there because it looked like he was trying to do his grab attack, which gave me plenty of time to run around him. And here's where we're going to use that flashbang, get past this last horde of zombies, and we're home free. So this is easily probably the largest scary portion of the game over with. In this street section, we're going to be grabbing the green herb out of that corner over there. We're going to be getting a grenade from the gun shop, as well as the long barrel for the shotgun. I'm going to chime out here, and things are going to fast forward quite a bit. One important thing to know, though, is you do not want to combine your long barrel yet. The The reason being is that will make your shotgun take up extra inventory space, and we don't want that. At that item box there, I just made sure to grab my handgun just so I don't have to waste a shotgun shell on the pipeline at the end of this section. Here, nothing too fancy. You just run to the left, then run to the right, and make sure you wait for that second chomp before you try to cross over to the left again. And then you want to run down the middle. I don't know if this trash up here can slow you down, but I don't know. I'd rather not take the chance. But yeah, make sure you wait for that second chomp, because I have died there and lost 40 minutes of progress before, and it was very demoralizing. So, gonna chime out, gonna fast forward, not much happening. I'll meet you at the Ada section.
Secret weapon type.
Alrighty, so as Ada, this section is pretty straightforward. We're just going to be using her her visualizer thing to do the puzzles. If you are not familiar with this section, I recommend practicing on easier difficulties, because if you don't know what to do, it is very easy to die on this section. Which makes me feel really, really bad for people who played through hardcore on their first playthrough. I personally did standard. So you want to scan the thing for the door while you're still up here, just so you don't have to deal with this zombie. And there's some extra handgun bullets we're going to pick up just for safety. This is actually my second time doing the commentary for this, because the first time I had clipped up the commentary, and SHAREfactory only has a limit on the amount of clips you can have, which I didn't know at the time, so I had to put little text commentary notes on here to help me out, but you guys won't see those. I'll edit them out. Yeah, that one zombie was crawling. Sometimes he can be standing up. And unfortunately, I get grabbed here. Which sucks. Because now I can die in one hit, and you also move a little bit slower while you're in danger. So I'm hoping that zombie staggers. Fortunately, he fell over. So at this point in this playthrough, I was really concerned that I wasn't going to be fast enough to get away from Mr. X. Fortunately, that was not the case, and I was able to continue. I would say this is probably the last scary and sketchy part of the run before we get to use our first save. Which I'm sure some of you have probably been watching this, and you're probably wondering, when do I save? When do I save? Before you get used to the knifing strategy on Birkin, I would recommend saving before him, just because that's about 20 to 25 minutes of progress you just really don't want to lose. But when you get more comfortable, I would recommend using your first save in the sewers, which is where I'm going to be using mine. The only downside to that is that does mean that you're going to be playing about an hour of hardcore mode without saving, which can get pretty stressful and pretty scary. But here's the Incinerator Puzzle. Not really much to say, so I'm gonna chime out till we get back to Leon.
You'll never get your filthy hands on the G. I'm not the only one after it. You realize that. And you won't die alone.
clearance confirmed. Your ID is authorized until October 1st. Please return before this date.
Not gonna happen.
Okay, so now that we're back over as Leon, we're just gonna run up to this box and do some quick item management. We don't have to do much because we're gonna be hitting another box soon. I recommend bringing your shotgun, handgun, and at least one defense item. Mainly because we have to run by one of those annoying blob monster things. And yeah, sometimes they just won't let you run past them and they're so annoying, I hate them. If there's any two enemies in this game I cannot stand, it is those things and the dogs. But, you know, it is what it is. So, it's nice to have the shotgun for this section, because we are going to be coming back to this room briefly, not this side of it, but it's nice to just have something to help get this guy out of the way. Unfortunately, I wasted some ammo there, which sucks. But I got that guy out of the way, which kind of sucks even more. And I jump down, but I turn around, I'm like, wait a minute, I want to grab that knife just to have as many options as possible. Because knives are really helpful in the lab, or when you get grabbed by the plant monsters. That way you don't have to waste your grenades on them. So I picked up that blue herb just because it's nice to have and I don't have to worry about my inventory to come get it later. And I also want that high gunpowder because shotgun shells are nice. You can never have too many of them. So right here, we're just going to fast forward because there's not much to talk about. This room, there's some shotgun shells, and then we're just going to run around and do some item collecting real quick. So we're going to run out here, and we are going to be getting the stock for the shotgun, and we're going to go ahead and combine that, because putting a stock on your shotgun doesn't increase inventory size, but for some reason putting a barrel on it does. I don't know. But yeah, just going to grab the red herb, the handle, and the stock. And then we're going to go back to the item box. I don't know, since the footage is almost there, I might as well just stay chimed in. No reason not to. So, we're gonna put away the handgun. Essentially, you want to have one gun, a source of healing, ammo for that gun, the handle, and a defense item. So after I have my inventory set up, I'm gonna go ahead and use my first save. Basically with your inventory on this, you need 5 free slots. And I'll see y'all in part 2.